Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Tom Johnson begins now.
Good evening. The state government's controversial gaming legislation has passed the lower house of the Tasmanian Parliament. The laws are set to end federal groups' monopoly on poker machines, but critics say harm minimisation measures don't go far enough.
23 hours of debate stretching over several days. The government's controversial gaming legislation passing the lower house just before midnight, Labor siding with the Liberals.
Therefore, the ayes have it.
The Greens and Independent Christy Johnston opposed. The result, a heated question time this morning.
I've actually taken steps and I've improved harm minimisation, Mr Speaker, and I have ended the monopoly, Mr Speaker.
The gambling reform is set to end federal groups' monopoly on poker machine licences in Tasmania.
It needed to be done. It is historic.
But there are concerns the harm minimisation measures don't go far enough.
This is one of the most dangerous pieces of legislation that has ever passed through the House of Assembly. It will literally kill people.
For the Labor Party, the bill is a far cry from its 2018 anti-pokies policy.
We've accepted that we lost the 2018 election. The Liberals have the numbers in the House of Assembly, and that means that no bill can pass without their agreement.
Receiving backlash following the vote.
The Liberal Party and the Labor Party voted as one. There was effectively no difference between the two.
Standing by their position.
But what Labor did was embrace a new direction for gaming in Tasmania.
The bill will now be considered by the upper house.
If Labor finds some backbone, you can take some of the harsher edges off this legislation.
We look forward to Labor honouring its commitment to remain bipartisan on this, because without it, the federal monopoly will continue into the future.
Next Side's 7 Tasmania News.
New data has laid bare Tasmania's tight squeeze for rental properties, with one agent describing it as crazy. The vacancy rate remains agonisingly low as the value of property sales climbs over $4.5 billion.
The rental race is only growing in desperation.
Within the first 24 hours of a property going live, we're having in excess of 50 inquiries.
And a week is all it takes for that property to be signed, sealed and off the market.
We haven't had a point all year that we've had under 300 tenants looking, not once this year.
The rental vacancy rate remaining at a critical low. The Real Estate Institute's quarterly report showing the figure sits around 1%, meaning
for every 100 homes available for rent, 99 are occupied, one's available.
A lack of land and too much planning red tape is not helping solve the issue, according to industry leaders. But what could is more local investors, currently making up 18% of the state's housing sales.
If there were 30% of sales for investors, it might just start to ease the problem.
Through a cold winter, the Tasmanian market has been hot. A record $4.5 billion, the total sales value for this year already, and there's still 2 months to go.
Over 3 or 4 open homes, it's not uncommon to see between 150 and 200 people go through an open home. That's the craziness of this market.
The median price in Hobart, Launceston and the Northwest all climbing by more than 20% on last year, while at the top end of town, 490 cashed up buyers snapped up properties worth more than $1 million, tripling last year's record.
It's taken off and it's maintaining that momentum.
But as those in luxury lick their lips at the market mania, it's the unlucky tenants that lick their wounds. Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
A woman accused of murdering her mother inside a Launceston home has taken the stand. Western Australian woman Natalie Ma has described her mother's threats of self-harm, saying she didn't want to get old.
Accused Natalie Ma took the stand with defence lawyer Evan Hughes questioning Ms Ma about her mother's personality and the relationship she had with her. Ms Ma describing her as over the top. Mr Hughes asking her about the mental health of Veronica Kirstoffen. Did the topic of self-harm ever come up with your mother? To which Ms Ma replied, yes, I remember my dad trying to break into the bathroom as a kid and her threatening to self-harm then. It was not really something I took seriously because she was always threatening it. Did the topic of self-harm come up at Keane Street? She discussed killing herself at Keane Street, but this time with pills and alcohol. She was sick of getting old. She didn't want to end up like her mother. Ms Ma explaining her grandmother had had a stroke and lived out her final days in a nursing home. In the lead up to Ms Ma's return to Western Australia, she described the strained relationship with Miss Christoffen, saying, "We had arguments about me not getting a job quick enough. She was frustrated about how long things were taking. She didn't understand that things take time," adding, "She didn't seem to want me in the house." The trial continues next week with Natalie Ma to take to the stand once again on Tuesday. Elizabeth O'Neill, 7 Tasmania News.
A man who allegedly crashed into multiple parked cars in Hobart while intoxicated has pleaded not guilty in the Hobart Magistrates Court. Benjamin Charles Eugene Shea is facing multiple charges over the incident, which occurred on Davey Street in July. He's scheduled to reappear in court in December. A last-ditch bid to halt the Health Department's mandatory COVID vaccination policy has been lodged. Lawyers on behalf of thousands of employees have filed legal documents seeking an injunction ahead of Sunday's mandatory vaccination deadline. They're hoping the case will be heard tomorrow to prevent a number of workers from being stood down from their job.
It's a matter of urgency because if it's not done by the 30th, if it's not done tomorrow, then all these workers are going to be sacked. And we're looking at least 2,000 workers.
A judicial review of the entire policy has also been lodged. Pauline Hanson has unveiled a new policy to get more young Tasmanians into work in a one-on-one interview. The One Nation leader is in Tasmania to spruik her newest Senate candidate Steve Mav, both calling for mandatory COVID vaccines for healthcare workers to be scrapped.
Pauline Hanson is no doubt one of the most polarising figures in Australian politics, and she's bringing her campaign to Tasmania, spruiking Steve Mav ahead of the federal election. His previously unsuccessful tilts at politics, no deterrent for the One Nation leader.
Honey, don't hold that against him, because I'll tell you what, I've run a lot more campaigns than what he has. So if you think he might be a serial candidate, no, I am. And what it's called is determination.
The pair has spent a busy couple of days up north, last night meeting with a packed hall of voters in Sheffield.
The main topic and their concerns was about the jab. They don't want it. Well, not so much don't want it, they don't want to be forced into having it. It's about pro-choice.
The pair united on mandatory vaccinations for health workers, but the issue is dividing members of the community.
I work in the vaccine clinic and I think that everyone should have it.
I think it's good to get it, but you can't force people to do things.
It should be optional, but there needs to be a lot more education done around it.
Today, travelling south, the One Nation leader revealing a new policy to get young Tasmanians into work, subsidising 75% of an apprentice's wage in their first and second year, then 50% after that. But the Small Business Council says that won't strike the right balance.
In actual fact, is the wrong way around. We really need employers and employees, apprentices, to be keen to finish their apprenticeship. And sometimes it's at that latter end of the apprenticeship that you get problems occur.
The policy hinges upon Steve Mav winning the party a third Senate seat to secure the balance of power and gather the support of the next elected government. But when it comes to negotiating with major parties on other issues, Pauline has a simple message.
I don't do deals with anyone. I don't. My deal is with the people of Australia.
One Nation's tour of southern Tasmania continues tomorrow. Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
Police are investigating an arson attack on a Mayfield home. Firefighters were called to the Hargrave Crescent property around 10:40 last night to find the house well alight. Crews worked to extinguish the blaze, but it was destroyed. No one was home at the time. The future of the historic Mount Lyell copper mine in Queenstown has been secured, at least for the next 2 years. Its owner has given Australian company New Century Resources a 2-year option to acquire the mine on the condition it invests at least $10 million to get it up and running again. The site has been closed since 2014 after the deaths of 3 workers in 2 separate incidents. The RSPCA's Launceston Centre relaunched today after a much-needed facelift. The new design gives its cute and cuddly residents more room to move around while they wait to meet their forever family.
We can have more cats in one enclosure rather than being confined to small cages before they get adopted. They've just got more freedom, more space, more homely feels, so that they basically enjoy their time here.
And with kitten season upon us, there are plenty of mums and bubs in need of a new home. A hands-on teenage training program is fast-tracking the move from education to employment. The Beacon Foundation has helped 14 students at Newstead College graduate with a Certificate 3 in early childhood education. It also runs a playgroup twice a week, giving a valuable opportunity to put learning into real-life practice.
I really enjoy getting to watch them learn and grow each and every day, because every day something new happens.
A student that participates in 4 or more meaningful industry experiences while at school are 86% more likely to move into further education, employment or traineeships after they finish school.
All students will soon transition into full-time work. 2 Tasmanian towns have been recognised nationally at the Australian Top Tourism Town Awards. Stanley won a bronze medal in the award for towns with a population of fewer than 5,000 people. New Norfolk also came away with a bronze medal in the 5,000 or more people category. Tourism Minister Sarah Courtenay has congratulated both, saying the recognition shows Tasmania can punch above its weight in attracting visitors to the state. Southern Tasmania's wineries are opening their doors this weekend to celebrate good weather and good wine. Around 40 labels will take part in the Spring in the Vines event this weekend. Each vineyard will have their own unique mixture of entertainment, wine tastings and food, helping showcase the growing sector.
People can meet the makers, the winemakers, the growers in the place where they create their wines.
I think these events are really brilliant, a way of bringing a collaborative approach to the local wine industry, sharing what we're doing.
Mewstone Wines is using the occasion to launch its new cellar door at Flower Pot near Hobart.
Queensland has amassed a monster first innings total in the Sheffield Shield against Tasmania after twin centuries from Usman Khawaja and Matt Renshaw. The pair pulled on a partnership of 155 before the Bulls declared at 6 for 487. In response, the Tigers had a shaky start at 2 for 42 before Charlie Wakeham and Jordan Silk mounted resistance. The side will resume day 3 at 4 for 150. The Hobart Hurricanes remain in the WBBL top 4 after defeating the Melbourne Stars by 6 wickets last night. The Hurricanes decided to bowl first, with the Stars making 4 for 144 from their 20 overs. Taylor Valamic doing the damage with the ball, taking 3 for 27 from her 4 overs. Despite losing 2 early wickets, Mignon Dupria starred with the bat, top scoring with 62 from just 45 deliveries.
Oh, it sounded good off the bat. Yes, 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 Mignon Dupria.
Hobart's next match is against the Brisbane Heat at UTAS Stadium on Saturday. In the NBL, the Jack Jumpers coach says all positions are up for grabs, with starting spots and the club captain yet to be decided. While Scott Roth has his own ideas on who has leadership potential, he says the playing group will have the final say.
I'd rather let them play some games, see how they interact during the games and half times and huddles, and then allow them to go vote on who they think is best to represent them.
A lot of good guys with a lot of experience. We've got a few veteran guys, so I'm not sure. I guess as a collective we'll all speak about that.
Meanwhile, the league has confirmed Launceston will host Jack Jumpers matches in the new year. They'll play the Perth Wildcats on March 5, followed by the Adelaide 36ers a fortnight later.
Good evening. 24 the top today, shared by Bushy Park, Ouse, Fingal and Launceston. Hobart 19 degrees, Burnie and Devonport 18. Most temperatures above average, some by 6 degrees. Flinders Island 23, St Helens 22 and Grove 20. Friendly Beaches 19, Lowhead 17 and Strawn a bit cooler in the west, 16 the top. The far northwest with most of the cloud today as we await the band with the front to move over, but it is breaking up somewhat. Active cloud bands sit across eastern and southern Australia, the more uniform band near Victoria and Tasmania. Tomorrow, a low is just east of the state. A trough over northern Australia is linked to the front over the southeast. Southwest to southeast winds up to 35 knots, but to 40 knots over the east and west. Swells picking up to 3.5 metres in eastern waters. We have a gale warning for all coastal waters apart from the southwest coast, a strong wind warning for the southwest, the Channel, Derwent Estuary and the Central Plateau Lakes, and a minor flood warning for the southeast, Macquarie, Meander and Jordan rivers, and a warning to sheep graziers for most districts. So tomorrow, a big drop in temperatures, plenty of rain, about 2, Hobart 11, top of 10 for Huonville, Campania, maybe some heavy falls, 11 degrees. Launceston 14 with rain clearing, rain overnight clearing from Devonport, 15 the top and 16 for Georgetown. Burnie looking for 15 degrees, becoming windy in the afternoon. Some heavy falls for Strawn, 12 the maximum, 15 for Wynyard. And for St Helens, a high of 16 with rain clearing, becoming windy for Swansea, 14 the high, and 11 at Port Arthur. UV 6 over the east, but generally a high 7 tomorrow. On Saturday, showers over the west, far south and central areas. Partly cloudy on Sunday, maybe a shower over the west and far south. And on Monday, fine and partly cloudy apart from a shower over the west. A fine 21 in Perth, a morning shower, and cool in Adelaide. Melbourne much the same. A hot day ahead of a storm in Sydney and a shower or two in Brisbane. Cloud moving in, temperatures dropping, 11 degrees in Hobart, 19 still in Launceston, cloudy in Devonport and 16 degrees. Yes, we're all wearing floral ties tonight because Kim Miller dislikes it when we're all matching. She's not going to be very happy with this idea of yours, Tom.
Well, they're all slightly different, just enough. Thank you very much for that, Murph. I'll be back later on with updates, but that's it from the 7 Tasmanian team tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Good night.